checking the forecast. Things looking crazy, a storm on the horizon. The pressure's low, gotta get moving, put on a show. The news is all buzzing, state of alert, but we've got a plan, we're ready to work. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. See a little fire or a rising flood, we're a well-oiled machine, we're running in the mud. From the city hall meetings to the rescue teams, turning worst case scenarios into hopeful dreams. We're training the people, stocking the gear, we're the team you can count on when trouble is near. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the face. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. It's more than a job, it's a calling, you see. Prepared for the present and what's yet to be. Every second counts, we're ready to react for our communities. We're making an impact. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. Yeah, we're picking you up, we're ready to go. EMA, let's get this show on the road.
Let's do this, guys. Let's get this rock and roll show on the air. What do you say? Let's do it to it right now. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, guys. My name is Ron Tyler. I'm the president of Emergency Management Associates, and we're glad to have you here with us. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina, guys. Welcome to our program tonight. We're here for you all the time. Whenever something big happens, we're going to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Whether it's in the middle of the night, the middle of the day, middle of the morning, whenever it is, we'll be on the air to tell you about it as soon as we have the details. Now, guys, we have some information that you're going to want to have tonight. So stay tuned to this program. I want to take you over to the USGS map momentarily to show you some information that you want to have now, right now. I'm going to take down the EMA banner. I'm going to take down a webcam right now. I'm going to go over into Alaska right now. Notice there is a swarm of earthquakes in Alaska, in the Aleutian Island Trench. Right here. Okay? We've had a lot of earthquakes here in the past. We're having more and more. Now, guys, look what this is. This is a 4.5 earthquake. 4.5 moderate earthquake here. They say this is 140 miles southeast of Attu Station. 140 miles southeast of Attu Station. Let's go over here and show you Attu Station right here. This is Attu Station. During World War II, we fought the Russians for this island. We arrived here and we won that war. Up until 2023, we had a Coast Guard Naval Air Station here, and it has since been closed as of 3 years ago. 3 years ago. Now, we've had a lot of earthquakes over here, right in this general area I'm showing you now. About 2 months ago, we had a 6.6 earthquake here. 6.6 earthquake. We are continuing to see earthquakes here right now. Again, this is in the Aleutian Island Trench here, in the western Aleutian Islands here. I showed you a 4.5 earthquake. This earthquake is also 4.2 moderate earthquake. Going for the southwest here is a 3.9 small earthquake. 3.9 small earthquake. This is a 4.1 moderate earthquake here. So we've had 3 moderate earthquakes and one 3.9, 4.0 small quake. Now, the reason I said it was 4.0 is USGS constantly downgrades these earthquakes. They downgrade the earthquakes. They don't want to show exactly what's going on here. They don't want us to be concerned about what's happening. They don't want to show us the real information. This 3.9 here, I'm showing you right now, this 3.9 may not have been just a 3.9. It could have been a 4.0 or larger earthquake. Could have been. Could have been. Now I open up here, back off here, and you see more minor earthquakes and tremors over here in the Aleutian Island Trench here. Going over into Alaska, we have nothing major happening in Alaska. Yes, we were having some minor tremors, 1.0, 1.9. We've had some minor earthquakes as well, 2.0 to 2.9 as well. We have had no major earthquakes at all in Alaska. No major earthquakes or big earthquakes here in Alaska at all. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. They can happen at any time, literally. We are expecting Alaska to have another major earthquake sometime very soon, sometime in the very near future. Okay? Now, we go south here. We go south here. I want to stop here in the Kuril Islands just north of Japan. The Kuril Islands here belong to Russia. This is a 4.6 earthquake here in the Kuril Islands. The Kuril Islands here are very small islands, mostly volcanic, and nobody inhabits these islands. Nobody inhabits the Kuril Islands at all. This is a moderate 4.6 earthquake in the Kuril Islands. Going over here to Japan, off the coast of Japan. This earthquake just happened. You see it red here? USGS used to say anything red is red for maybe 40, 45 minutes, and then they take it down to brown. They haven't done that. They have reevaluated what they're going to show us here. Red earthquakes can be up to 2 hours now. This earthquake may have been 2 hours ago. This earthquake is a 4.8 moderate earthquake off the northeast coast of Honshu, Japan. Off the northeast coast of Honshu, Japan. There are other earthquakes here in Japan, but they're not showing it to us. Okay? That's pretty bad. That's a very bad situation. We'll go down here to the southern islands here in Japan, right here. This earthquake looks like it's closer to Taiwan. Yes, it is. But these earthquakes all the way down here towards Taiwan, also the islands here belong to Japan. This earthquake here is a 4.3 moderate earthquake here, 99 miles southeast of Miyakojima, Japan. 99 miles southeast of Miyakojima, Japan. Okay? Now, we go over to Taiwan. On Saturday, Taiwan here had a very strong earthquake, a 6.4 earthquake. We have an earthquake here today. This earthquake is a 4.4 aftershock. 4.4 aftershock. Now, they did have some damage here in Taiwan here. They had some damage because of that big, strong earthquake here on Saturday. They had some damage, but no injuries from what I'm being told. That's lucky. That's very lucky. Now we want to go south here, over here to the Philippines. The Philippines here. Last night, just after 2 a.m. this morning, 2:09 Eastern Time this morning here in the United States. This was the middle of the day here in the Philippines. The middle of the day here in the Philippines. Notice they've had an earthquake. They've had several earthquakes. USGS not even showing all the aftershocks. They're not. This was a 6.1 earthquake here. This was a 6.1 earthquake here in the central Philippine island of Sagar, S-A-G-A-R, or I'm sorry, Samar, S-A-M-A-R, S-A-M-A-R, okay? Now, this is a 6.1 earthquake here, 6.1 earthquake. USGS downgrade to a 6.0. This is not a 6.0 earthquake at all, and I can prove it. I've got all the details I'm going to show you in just a minute. This was a very, I can't say very strong, 6.6 and up to 6.9. This is a 6.1 earthquake, supposedly. Supposedly. This may have been a very much stronger earthquake. Look where it's at. It's on land. I stayed up for over an hour after this earthquake hit. Because it was on land, it did not generate a tsunami. Earthquakes of this magnitude could generate a tsunami if the earthquakes happened in the ocean. If the earthquakes happened in the ocean, which they did not. This happened on an island. This earthquake happened on an island, okay? This earthquake happened to be 45 miles deep. Very shallow earthquake. 45 miles deep, a very shallow earthquake. There are a lot of people that felt this earthquake. Hundreds of people felt this earthquake all over this island. Literally all over the island. Notice there are small communities, towns and villages here. Towns and villages here. All over this island. People felt this earthquake. It was a strong earthquake. Again, people in this region don't make a lot of money. Their belongings are few. When they have an earthquake of this magnitude, all of their belongings, or most of the belongings, are destroyed. Most of their belongings could be destroyed with this earthquake. We pray for these people. We pray for them and their belongings. They are very poor people. They're humble, they're meek and submissive to not just the government, but to the Lord. Okay? These are blessed people. Very blessed people. Now, let's back out here. Again, this hit on land. No tsunami warning was issued at all. Okay? Because it hit on land. Now, let's back down here to the south here. Down here to the south. You notice where this earthquake hit? See this island here? This is called Mindanao, Philippines. The largest island in the Philippine Islands chain here. This earthquake here is offshore, southwest of Mindanao, Philippines here. This is a 4.3 earthquake here. Further down here to the south, also, this is not in the Philippines at all. This is in the Molucca Sea. This is in the Molucca Sea. This is a 4.6 earthquake here in northern Indonesia, near Tobelo, Indonesia. 4.6 earthquake here, moderate earthquake in the ocean. Nobody felt either of these earthquakes at all. They happen in the ocean, and the ocean waters absorb the shockwaves of these quakes. Now, let's move out here. Look what they're not showing us here. There are 53 earthquakes here in Indonesia today, 53. USGS shows one. They're showing us one earthquake here in Indonesia. One of the largest subduction areas in the world, they're not showing earthquakes. One of the largest subduction areas in the world, they're not showing earthquakes. when you have so many subduction tectonic plates here, with each of these plates subducting one under the other at anywhere from 1.4 inches per year on up to 5 inches per year. Subduction quakes. Subduction quakes. Subduction quakes can be very small, or they can be very large. That's what happens in this region here. Okay, let's back out a little bit more. We go out here to encompass not just Taiwan, or not just Indonesia here, but all of over here in the South Pacific Islands, Tonga, Samoa, New Zealand, to the west here, into Fiji, the Legacy Islands of New Caledonia, over here in the Vanuatu, and also over here in the Solomon Islands here. Over here in Tonga region, right here, we have several earthquakes here, but USGS only showed us one. This earthquake is a 4.3 earthquake, 92 miles west of Niafu, Tonga. 92 miles west of Niafu, Tonga. The moderate earthquake was not felt by anybody in the islands of Tonga, Fiji, or Samoa at all. This earthquake was closer to Niafu, Tonga here. The ocean waters of the Pacific Ocean absorbed the shockwaves of this quake. There are other earthquakes over here further south into New Zealand. Most of these earthquakes are 2.0 to 2.9 and 3.0 to 3.9. As far as I know today, we've not had any moderate 4.0 to 4.9 earthquakes at all. And definitely not any 5.0 and larger, 5.0 to 5.9 larger earthquakes or anything else. Nothing. That's a good thing. Now this fault zone here, coming out of Tonga and Fiji, going over here to Australia, also encompassing Fiji, Vanuatu, the Solomon Islands, Papua New Guinea that I haven't gotten to yet, going all the way over here to Southeast Asia here, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Myanmar, Southeast Asia region, all the way up here to Japan. This is the largest subduction area in the world, the largest subduction zone in the world. As a result, we have more earthquakes here than anywhere else in the world. It happens. It happens all the time. As I said, I missed one earthquake over here in Papua New Guinea here. This is a 4.7 moderate earthquake here. 4.7 moderate earthquake. We've had many earthquakes here in the past. This is a 4.7 moderate earthquake. This is in the mountainous region of Papua New Guinea. The mountainous region of Papua New Guinea. Now, because it was in this area, this is a mountainous region with high contact bedrock, meaning the seismic waves of this earthquake could have been echoed all over the island. We're not being told anybody actually felt this earthquake, but I'm sure there are villages, there are towns all over this island, and they felt this earthquake. They felt this earthquake was on land. Now, it was a moderate earthquake. Moderate earthquakes can do moderate damage. Anywhere from 4.0 to 4.9, they can do moderate damage. They can knock pictures off of shells. People don't have homes in this area. They don't have homes. There are only villages and towns here. Most of these people live in cardboard or wooden shacks with only a tarp over their heads. A tarp over their heads. For the most part, they don't get any freezing temperatures here. They live in modest living standards, basically with wooden shacks or cardboard shacks with a tarp over the top of them. They do get typhoons that blow through here. When the typhoons blow through here, they nearly lose everything they ever had. Very sad state of affairs. When a large earthquake, a strong earthquake, or even a deadly 7.0 plus earthquake, major earthquake, when those earthquakes happen, they also lose everything they have. Earthquakes destroy everything these people have. Very sad. Very, very sad. Now, I'm just going to do an overview of earthquakes here. I'm just going to talk about an overview of earthquakes here. Over in China today, this is a 4.8 moderate earthquake here. We don't get reports of damage from China at all. They hardly ever tell us about earthquakes. When they do tell us, we get lucky to know about it. We go over to eastern Iran. Eastern Iran has been rocking today. This is a 4.8 earthquake here. Okay? It's out in the middle of the desert area. Now, guys, I have my own ideas what may have caused this earthquake. It's out in the middle of the desert. Usually you don't have earthquakes out here in the middle of the desert here. Usually they're far enough down here to the south, because this is the other edge of the craton here, or the tectonic plate here. Further here to the north in Iran, this is the northern territory or northern part of the tectonic plate here. Earthquakes follow the tectonic plate. Earthquakes follow the edge of the tectonic plate. Yes, we can have earthquakes here in the middle of the desert, but not often. Not often. This earthquake in Iran may have been caused by something else. I hate to even think what it was. This earthquake hit earlier today. We have no idea what caused it at all. I have no idea what caused it. This is also a very shallow earthquake. Very shallow earthquake. It has the potential of being 5.7 miles deep, or even less. Even less. Earthquakes in this area typically are 6.2 miles deep most of the time. Sometimes in the tectonic plate regions where the earthquakes are following the edge of the plate, sometimes we've seen earthquakes in this region being 45 miles deep, 57 miles deep, 62 miles deep. But most of the time, these earthquakes here are 6.2 miles deep, 10 kilometers deep. Okay? Notice this. USGS is not showing us any earthquakes at all here in Europe. There are plenty of earthquakes here in Europe, all over. Literally all over. They're not showing us anything here at all. Sad state of affairs. Now, I want to take you over here to the east here. Over here in South America here. There are 48 earthquakes here in South America today. Most of the earthquakes are here over here in western Chile. Western Chile and Argentina area. USGS is showing one earthquake over here in central Chile. One earthquake. This is a 5.0 earthquake here. 5.0 earthquake here near, I hate even trying to pronounce this name of this town. It's a Spanish town. Copiapó, Chile. Central Chile. Just barely off the coast. Large 5.0 earthquake. Large earthquakes can do a large amount of damage. This is just barely offshore. USGS has constituted this as 58 miles west-northwest of Copiapó, Chile, offshore. Now, because it was so far offshore here, they say it was 88 or 58 miles west-northwest of Copiapó, Chile. Guys, this may not be that far off in the ocean. I don't know exactly where Copiapó is. It could be a town over here to the east. We don't know. I haven't studied this area very much at all. But this is offshore for the most part. I don't think anybody even felt this earthquake. They did not feel the full brunt of a 5.0 large earthquake. They may have felt something less. They may have felt less seismic energy than that. There are all kinds of earthquakes in this region, on land and off. All kinds of them. About 14 earthquakes here in central Chile. And going up north here, right in this area here, Atacama and Tarapacá, Chile, which are provinces or counties. That's where these earthquakes are here. 16 earthquakes here in northern Chile. 16. In southern Peru here, there's one 4.5 earthquake here, southern Peru. Going up here into Colombia, we have 5 earthquakes here in Colombia as well. Okay, they're not showing them. Not showing them. We have 1 earthquake here in Central America. This is near Nicaragua. This happened earlier this morning. This is a 4.5 earthquake here in Nicaragua. 36 miles west-southwest of Mazatlán, Nicaragua. We go over here to the north here, southern Mexico. Southern Mexico, guys. This is Zacatecas, Mexico. Over here in Mexico, southern Mexico, on land. This is a very large earthquake. This is a 5.7 very large earthquake here. This is also 35 miles deep, fairly shallow quake. 5.7 miles deep here, 5.7 size earthquake, large earthquake. Guess what? You're going to see some damage here, and we may even see some loss of life. I haven't heard of any today, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. This area here is very remote. Very remote. The towns here are little populated, have little populations here. We probably won't get any information until maybe later today, but a 5.7 earthquake on land can devastate that region, especially small towns such as these here in southern Mexico. They don't have much money. They don't have much of anything. They mostly farm and sell what they grow and what they can make. That's how they exist. 5.7 very large earthquake here in southern Mexico today. We have a total of 48 earthquakes here in southern Mexico. 48 earthquakes here in southern Mexico, which range in size from Oaxaca, Mexico down here, all the way up to Puerto Vallarta to the north here. Lots of earthquakes all throughout this region. These kinds of earthquake numbers happen every day, every blasted day. Unreal. USGS has only shown 1 earthquake though. Sad. Now, I want to come over here into Louisiana. Up here in central Louisiana, we had an earthquake early this morning. A 2.7 earthquake happened here early this morning. Now, guys, when that happens, it was just a minor earthquake, a very minor earthquake. Let me briefly show you where it is. I'm going to take down a USGS map here and show you where this earthquake was. Right there. Over here on the west side of Louisiana. Okay? This is Coushatta, Louisiana. This is over on the west side of the Pneumatic Fault, the far west side of the Pneumatic Fault. Now, guys, I've told you about earthquakes in this region before. Most of these earthquakes here could also be tied to the Pneumatic Fault. The USGS only showed us one earthquake here today. On the USGS map, they took it down. This happened about 6:30 this morning. Being a minor 2.5 earthquake, nobody felt it at all. Nobody felt it. However, this was not the only earthquake that hit here in Louisiana today. Earthquakes all over here in Louisiana. Hello? Hello? Hold on a second, guys. Hold on a second. I'm going to try to bring up some sound here, some viable sound. Aubrey, I got your call now. Yes, I realize we don't have sound now. No problem. I appreciate you calling, Aubrey. Thank you so much for all you do. Love you too. Be safe. Bye. Bye. Thanks, Aubrey. Thank you all for telling me this. I appreciate it. Yes, Aubrey got my attention. Okay, guys, I hope to have, yeah, okay, I think we have sound, some sound right now. Try to fix it some more. Aubrey's saying 5x5 now. Oh boy, there, just went down again. There, okay. Hold on, guys. I'm going to try to be back here with this. I don't know why they're doing this to me. Well, I think I know why they're doing it. Stupid. Just a second, guys. I'm going to try to get this thing fixed. Stupid. I don't get it. I don't get this. This is stupid. Oh, gosh. Hold on, guys. I'm going to try to bring it back. Okay, guys, I figured out how to bring audio back up here. Give me just a minute here. I'm raising the audio back up. You should have my full voice in just about a minute here. Okay, I think we're getting there. We're getting here. Testing 1, 2, 3. Test, test, test. Testing 1, 2, 3. Test, test, test. We're getting it back. I don't understand why they knocked me off the air like this. This happened before. It's probably going to happen again. These people don't get it. They literally don't get it. This is not the first time they've done it. Won't be the last. Okay, we're back, I think. I hope. Okay, I'm just going to do this here. Right here, we've shown you some earthquakes here in Alamo, Nevada here. Alamo, Nevada. Look where these earthquakes are, guys. These earthquakes here are in a volcanic area as well. Just like we had over in Silver Springs, Nevada, we have over here in Alamo, Nevada, north of Las Vegas. These are magmatic or volcanic quakes. All of the volcanoes worldwide are recharging. That's why we're seeing earthquakes here. Okay, simply said, that's why we're seeing earthquakes here. This is going to be an ongoing situation probably for a while. The last time we seen earthquakes here in either Silver Springs I showed you a few minutes ago and Alamo, Nevada here, it's because of what is going on. Magma down beneath the surface is causing these earthquakes. Again, all of the volcanoes worldwide are recharging. All the volcanoes worldwide are recharging. This earthquake here is near Beatty, Nevada. This is also in a volcanic area. That's why we have earthquakes here in Beatty, Nevada. Magma down beneath the surface. It's a volcanic area. Now again, we've seen a lot of earthquakes over here on the east, or on the west of me, right here, Little Lake, California. Those are also earthquakes here in the Mojave Desert. Earthquakes in the Mojave Desert here. That's Alamo, Nevada here. This is Furnace Creek, California. 1.9 tremor here. Again, this is Silver Springs, Nevada here. These volcanic earthquakes. These are volcanic earthquakes, you guys. Volcanic quakes. This area here is a volcanic area. Indian Springs, Nevada area. Volcanic area. I believe that's why we're having these earthquakes. Also, something you need to know. Look where this is. Right here you see Pyramid Lake. That's a volcano. These earthquakes here in Indian Springs could also be on the Walker Lane Fault. These earthquakes here could be on the Walker Lane Fault. However, I think the Walker Lane Fault is further here to the west, not necessarily right here. But given what I know about this area, guess what? This could very well be volcanic region. This could be a volcanic region there, guys. Right here. Look at this, guys. For example, this earthquake here. Look where it's at. This is in a crater, guys. This is in a crater, a vent, where lava once came out of it. This whole area here is a volcanic area. Vents throughout this region. Vents throughout this region, right here as well. Volcanic vents. Lava flows throughout this area, all over. Now, I want to get on with this program. I have other things to show you besides the USGS map here. Now, given what we know about this area, there's more here. There's a lot more here. Now, I want to primarily talk about Cascadia here, specifically about Seattle. Specifically about Seattle tonight, guys. The Seattle metro area here. So give me just a minute here. Let's talk. We have a lot of things I want to talk about here. This is important too. This is also very important. The Seattle metro area is on the inner side, the east side of the Cascadia Fault Zone. East side of the Cascadia Fault Zone. Now, given that information, what else do you think is going on here? What do you think is going on here? A lot. Lots going on. Now, Cascadia is moving, we know that. But over here in Seattle, something else has come up. Something else has come up here. It's not just the Cascadia subduction zone that is moving. We talked to you about earthquakes all over this region. Earthquakes continue to happen here, whether or not USGS shows us earthquakes here. Earthquakes are hitting this area. Now, if you live in Seattle or anywhere in the Pacific Northwest, or you have friends or family there, they need to be aware of what's going on here. Very much aware of what's going on here. If you live in this region, you need to know exactly what's going on. Now, I've been telling everybody, whether or not you live here or not, don't fear, don't have fear at all. Live your life. Live your life. Now, yes, we are expecting a Cascadia megathrust earthquake, a 9.0, 10.0 magnitude earthquake that's going to be devastating this area at some point in time. I think it's possibly going to be within the next 5 years, considering all the earthquakes we're seeing, and considering that Mount St. Helens and Mount Rainier are showing signs of a possible near eruption. Possible near eruption in the very near future. Now, given that fact, offshore from Washington, we have the Juan de Fuca Fault and the Cascadia subduction zone running all the way down from Haida Gwaii, British Columbia to the north, all the way down to Northern California, where it comes in contact with what they call the Triple Junction. The Triple Junction is where the Gorda Escarpment, the San Andreas Fault, and the Cascadia subduction zone all come together. We've talked about this before. When we have the Cascadia earthquake, there's very much a likelihood of that Cascadia earthquake triggering the San Andreas Fault as well, sending seismic energy all the way down to northern Mexico as well. All throughout California, North California, San Francisco Bay Area, all the way down through California to Los Angeles, all the way down to the Imperial Valley in San Diego County, the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault is locked and loaded as it is. But there is a very good possibility that when the Cascadia earthquake hits, it may trigger the San Andreas Fault as well. We may see 8.0 magnitude earthquake hitting San Francisco Bay Area, which could also trigger the other earthquake faults in that region. All the other ancillary faults in that region can happen. Probably will. Now, because of what we know about the Cascadia earthquake, The Cascadia earthquake dominates disaster planning, emergency and preparedness budgets, not just government budgets, but individual family and personal budgets. It also generates public anxiety about earthquakes across the entire region. Entire government agencies and organizations have been organizing about it because it is an existential threat to the region. An existential threat to the region. And everybody lives here. Billions of dollars, literally billions of dollars in infrastructure planning have been shaped by the Cascadia earthquake and the subsequent earthquakes on land as well. The phrase, the big one in the Pacific Northwest, means one thing. One and one only thing, period. The Cascadia earthquake. However, in January this year, a USGS geologist who spent literally years digging up the ground beneath Seattle, they published a peer-reviewed study with a new timing, and it reframes everything. A major earthquake on the fault running directly beneath Seattle, not just a Cascadia offshore quake, but a major earthquake on the same Seattle fault could likely be even more destructive to the city of Seattle because the fault actually runs underneath the city of Seattle. Let's talk about that. This also has to be one of the disaster scenarios we have in play here. Has to be. Because the Seattle fault is capable of a 6.0, 7.0 earthquake. The Seattle fault is capable of a 6.0 to 7.0 earthquake. More than likely a 6.5. Very strong earthquake. Major earthquake fault beneath Seattle, Washington. Okay? Could be just as destructive as a Cascadia earthquake because the Seattle fault is a very shallow fault. Very, very shallow fault. The Seattle fault ruptured approximately 190 years ago. Its recurrence interval is around 350 years. But the Seattle fault itself has been left out of the official U.S. seismic hazard model entirely. No one's even going to find what's going on with the Seattle fault because there's no money for it. It's not been budgeted. The Seattle fault runs east and west. That's typically not what we normally see. You see it running north and south. This one runs east and west. Now, given that information, what do you think is going to happen here? What do you think is going to happen here? With that said, this is going to have repercussions. This earthquake is going to have repercussions up and down this region. Why? Right here. I'm going to leave this slide up here for a few minutes here. Let you think about it. The Seattle fault zone runs east and west directly beneath Seattle, beneath Elliott Bay, and beneath Bainbridge Island. Continue east under the Cascadia foothills. Continue east under the Cascade Mountain foothills, where the volcanoes are. This is not a single clean fault. It is a complex zone of multiple faults at different depths. At different depths, guys. That's also going to complicate this issue. It's also going to complicate the issue here. Earthquake faults at different depths are going to have earthquakes at different depths as well. Some are blind faults, meaning they don't go up to the surface of the earth. They don't go up to the surface of the earth where we walk on or we can see them. They're blind beneath the ground. They're interacting in ways that scientists are still trying to find out what's going on and map the faults. The scientists are unclear right now what's actually going on themselves. The main fault, the Seattle main fault in the zone is what geologists call blind zone, meaning the Seattle fault is beneath the ground. They can do satellite imaging, satellite radar imaging to see beneath the ground to see the fault. Okay? You can't walk just right up to it because it's not visible. The existence of the Seattle fault was only confirmed in the 1990s through indirect evidence, satellite infrared and radar imaging, subsurface imaging from satellites, magnetic surveys also from satellites, and preserved signatures of past earthquakes in the sediment record. In the sediment record. Remember that phrase, in the sediment record. The study was published in January this year. It's not about the main fault. It is about secondary faults. Secondary faults within the zone. Two newly mapped structures called Little Beach, LIDLE Beach, and Vasa Park Faults. Little Beach and Vasa Park Faults. These are hollow faults. When they do, sometimes they do reach surface and sometimes leave physical scars on the above surface earth where we can see them on the landscapes. In those areas where Little Beach and Vasa Park is, those faults, you can see them on the landscape after they rupture. That's why these two faults are able to be seen. They're not beneath the ground. Now let me tell you about this. Let me tell you how this matters. Here's how the Seattle fault zone fits into the bigger picture here. This is important. The entire region from Portland to Vancouver, British Columbia. From Portland to Vancouver, British Columbia. Remember what we talked about Portland this last week? Also concerned about earthquake faults in the Portland area? Also concerned about what's happening with the Cascadia fault zone? Yeah. The entire region, guys. The entire region. The Seattle fault zone fits into the bigger picture. The region from Portland to Vancouver Island, Vancouver, British Columbia, is being compressed. The fault is being compressed. The crust is being squeezed, guys, as a Juana Fuca fault pushed up against and subducts underneath the North American fault. Okay? It pushes up against the North American plate and subducts underneath the North American plate like this. This is causing pressure, causing immense pressure. The compression creates strain. Strains build up constantly and releases periodically as earthquakes. Strain itself releases periodically. Releases periodically, guys. Remember that. Not all strain releases strain from the main fault. Yes, it can release some energy, but that energy does not necessarily make less anxiety on the fault because the main fault is still under compression. Main fault is still under compression because one fault is going underneath another like this. One subduction area is going underneath another plate like this, tectonic plate movement. That's what's happening here, just like I showed you in Indonesia and in the South Pacific. Down there, they have 7 different tectonic plates in constant movement. Here, we have 3. The North American plate, the Farallon Juan de Fuca plate, the Cascadia subduction zone. Further to the south, we have another, the Pacific plate subducting underneath California. The Pacific plate subducting underneath California, causing more strain, causing buildup in strain against the North American fault, North American plate, which is going to cause major earthquakes. It will cause major earthquakes at some point in time. Now, given that information, that entire area here of the Pacific Northwest is under pressure. The Seattle fault zone absorbs approximately 15% of all that strain. The Seattle fault zone absorbs 15% of all that strain. All that doesn't necessarily seem much. It really is a concern. It's not a bystander or regional tectonic plate. The Seattle fault zone is not a tectonic plate or a bystander. The Seattle fault zone is an active participant, carrying a significant load of seismic stress. The secondary faults within it have been shown to rupture in the past, approximately every 350 years. Every 350 years. How long has it been since Cascadia ruptured? 334 years, meaning Cascadia could rupture at any point in time. Cascadia could rupture at any point in time. Now, the Seattle fault zone has not been so cooperative. The Seattle fault zone has not ruptured in over 100 years. It's not ruptured in over 100 years. But again, the Seattle fault zone could be also a very deadly fault zone. It could rupture at any point in time. They say it is imminent. They say it is imminent. It's a very dangerous fault. Okay? The Seattle fault zone is a very dangerous fault capable of mass destruction. Capable of mass destruction. But because the USGS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Agency and their policies, they don't address it. They don't address it. They don't want anybody to understand what's going on. So they keep it quiet. Just like they do with Cascadia earthquakes and all the other earthquakes associated with it. They keep it quiet. They do not allow the public to know about it and what it is happening right now. Where have you heard that statement before? Where have you heard this statement that the USGS and other agencies are covering seismic energy up? They don't want anybody to know about it because they don't want anybody to move. Because the politicians are telling them what's going on. Politicians are telling the agencies, don't talk about it. Keep it quiet. That way the politicians stay employed. Now, USGS. The USGS scientist that's been working on the studies pointed out that the faults he considers most dangerous are excluded from the hazard model. Meaning, again, the agency doesn't want to talk about it because that's their policy. The policy designed not to protect the people living in the area, that live in the area above the fault. 4 million people are not included in the hazard model. 4 million people are not being told what's going on because the agency has arbitrarily decided it did not work for them. Before we go further, If you or anyone else you know, family members or not, live in the Seattle Bainbridge Island or anywhere in the Puget Sound region, you should be very concerned. How many people watching our presentation today live directly or indirectly in this area? Maybe just on the outskirts of the area. How many people are here that live in that area, guys, or know your family members that do? I know several people here today that have family members that live in this area. We also have EMA family members that live in the Cascadia region, Seattle-Tacoma region, all up and down the fault. I have family members in Oregon. Now, to understand what the Seattle Fault Zone is capable of, you need to know what happened over 1,100 years ago. You need to know what happened over 1,100 years ago. Just like when we were talking about Cascadia, we told everyone when the last fault would happen and possibly what it would happen when it goes. We told you about the Cascadia earthquake the last time it went, December 1700. Around 900 CE, the Seattle Fault ruptured. The estimated magnitude was somewhere between 7.0 and 7.5. This was also a subduction zone rupture. When the Seattle Fault ruptured, it was as a result of subduction rupture. Okay? What did it do to the landscape? What did it do to the landscape? I'm going to tell you that right now. What it did to the landscape was not subtle. Not subtle at all. Not subtle at all. Now, what did it cause? What did it cause, guys? I'm going to show you another slide that shows the devastation that happened. Let me show you that right now. This is the devastation that happened. This is a satellite photo. Look at all the trees here that got knocked down by the tsunami. All these trees got knocked down by the tsunami. Some of the trees also got knocked down by the shaking. These trees are in a loamy, sandy area. These trees are in a loamy, sandy area. Why do you think that's important? Why do you think that's important, guys? What happens when we have a loamy, sandy area and we have an earthquake? Let me explain that if you guys don't already realize it. We have what we call liquefaction, meaning when we have earth shaking, the groundwater during the shaking rises up into the otherwise dry substance, dry earth and sand. When that happens, that earth and sand that was dry all of a sudden turns into quicksand, causing liquefaction. Any buildings, tall buildings, small buildings, houses, telephone poles, cars, anything on that sandy loamy area is going to sink into the earth. Going to sink. Telephone poles and power poles, any pole sticking up out of in the air is going to sink and fall. Those poles are going to sink and fall because they have no support. Liquefaction causes that. liquefaction causes that. We talked about this before. Talking about it again, aren't we? The Seattle, when this earthquake first hit, the Seattle fault first ruptured, the shoreline rose upwards of about 23 feet in minutes. The ground rose upwards 23 feet in minutes, literally. Tickled Pink just gave us an EMA membership here. They just bought a membership here of our program. Tickle Pink, I want to thank you for that. I want to thank Tickle Pink and tell you later this week, probably on Thursday or Friday morning, we're going to do another members only video. You'll get notified when this video comes up if you're subscribed to our program. Please subscribe to our program, and right next to the subscription button, click on that little bell icon. Click on that little bell icon. That should get you notified when we come on the air. When you click on that icon, drop-down menu of 3 items is going to come up. Click on the word all. That should get you notified when we come on the air. Later this week, Thursday or Friday morning, probably somewhere between 10 and 11 o'clock in the morning, we'll have another members-only meeting. I hope to see you all there. Thank you for joining our members-only here. Appreciate it, Tickle Pink. God bless you. God bless you. Now, the shoreline here, when the Seattle fault hit, when the earthquake hit, the ground rose upwards 23 feet high. Why? Because of subduction. Because of subduction. The Cascadia Fault Zone and the Juan de Fuca Fault are subducting underneath the North American plate. They're subducting, they're being pushed underneath the North American plate like this. That causes earthquakes, every case. That causes earthquakes. Okay? Now, some of these earthquakes can be very small, tiny tremors. The tiny tremors and such don't release any energy. That means there's more energy building in here. We've already been 324 years since the Cascadia earthquake happened. That means right now that the Cascadia earthquake is imminent. It's imminent. It can happen at any point. As I said before, I believe from what I've seen, the studies that I've made, I'm not going to bring it down to an exact date because I don't know. But I believe the Cascadia earthquake is going to happen within the next 5 years. Because I base that on all the evidence we have now. Earthquakes that are continuing to happen, volcanoes that are showing signs of a possible near eruption. We'll take all that information into account. You can't deny what's happening. The longer it takes for it to hit, the stronger the earthquake is going to be. The Cascadia earthquake is going to be a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. The Seattle fault rupturing is going to be anywhere from 6.5 to 7.5 earthquake. That's huge. Major danger for those people who live in the area. Major danger for those people who live in the area. When this earthquake last hit, entire forests were buried under landslide. Entire forests were buried under landslides generated by the shaking. A tsunami radiated from the Puget Sound. A tsunami radiated from the Puget Sound, further covering other ground area. The enclosed body of water amplified the waves, sent it into the shoreline areas. But guess what? They had no warning. They had absolutely no warning that this Seattle fault was going to move. Just like we have no absolute warning at all that the Cascadia earthquake is going to happen. But we know it is. That's why I keep talking about it. That's why I keep showing you information. Why Cascadia? The evidence is still visible today. Ghost forest, like I'm showing you here. trees that were killed by sudden subsidence, either the ground falling or the ground rising. Subsidence, guys. The roots were preserved in mud for over 1,000 years. The roots of these trees were preserved in the mud for over 1,000 years. When the scientists started digging around, the scientists dug trenches across fault scarps, across the fault areas that they could see. They're called fault scarps. The scientists dug trenches into the fault scarps to see what the ground had hidden from us. That event reshaped the whole physical geography of the Seattle area in a matter of seconds. Now, the city built on that ground today will face something its engineers have never been able to model at full scale. What is about to happen in the Seattle area, nobody will ever have any idea what they're actually going to face because they're never going to be seeing it before. What happens, it will be the first time they've ever seen it happen. But that was the main fault. The new study isn't about the main fault. It's about all the other ancillary faults in the region. It's about all the other ancillary faults throughout the region. When the main fault goes, it's going to activate the other ancillary faults. Look out. Look out. The most recent rupture appears to have ruptured around 1833, over 100 years after Cascadia ruptured. The methodology the research team used to find this is worth understanding because it's a kind of detective work that makes geology compelling, makes you want to learn more. If you're living in this area, you're going to want to know what's going on around you that the agencies are not talking about. Along the edge of the trace, which is the edge of the fault, along the edge of the trace, guys, along the edge of the trace of newly mapped secondary faults, there's wetland. There's wetland. Trees grow in wetlands. Trees also change draining patterns. Trees in the wetlands change drainage patterns. It raises or lowers the water levels. It raises or lowers the water table. That is what kills the roots of these trees. The trees die. Their remains are preserved in the sediment, in the mud. The geological teams have used carbon dating to determine what happened. They've also used tree rings to find out when it happened. The results point to at least two different events. The research points to events. The Cascadia event, that's happened over 325 years ago, and the Seattle fault, some believe happened approximately 1833, 207 years ago. Your grandparents and mine, maybe even your great-grandparents, were alive at that point in time. The United States was 57 years old 207 years ago. The secondary faults in the Seattle area ruptures approximately every 350 years. Now, 109 years have passed since the last known event on the Seattle fault. That means the entire fault system in Seattle is just halfway through its current cycle, with potentially 160 years of continued loading, a potential of another 160 years of continuous seismic loading before the next rupture happens. But again, we don't know. That rupture could occur at any point in time. But these recurrence intervals are averages only, not guarantees of spacing between earthquakes. The fault itself does not know what year it is. It ruptures when the stress exceeds the strength of the rock. Remember that. The earthquake rupture occurs when the stress exceeds the strength of the rock. That could be immediate or it could be 160 years from now. It could be sooner. The scientists who found this aren't staying quiet about it either, because they know what this means. The assessment of the hazard study, and in subsequent interviews, they said a major Seattle fault zone earthquake is very likely. It's very likely, guys. Very likely. Likely event. Could happen any time. They are also saying that because the Seattle fault is an east-west fault and directly underneath the city of Seattle, it has the potential of being even more dangerous, causing more destruction than the Cascadia. Think about that. Because the Seattle fault goes directly underneath the city, it could cause more destruction than the Cascadia earthquake. Possibly. Let that just sink in for a minute. Because this inverts the entire public understanding of the earthquake. This completely inverts the possibility of that earthquake. Basically because USGS is not talking about it. Most of the other agencies are not talking about it either. They're being silent about it. They're being very stealth. Because the politicians in the area don't want you to know what's happening. Because they want to stay elected. If USGS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network were allowed to tell you more, some people would leave the area. Which happens. If people left the area, what happens? Who's left to pay taxes? Nobody's paying taxes. Who's left to keep the lights on? Nobody's left there. People move out of the area. Who's going to buy food? Who's going to buy goods in that area? If that's the case, nobody's going to even shop there. Nobody's going to keep the stores open. They're going to leave as well. That's why the politicians have told the agencies in the Pacific Northwest, don't say anything. Be quiet about it. Be quiet about it. But in doing that, they're putting millions of lives in danger here. They're putting millions of lives in danger here, guys. And they don't much care about it. They don't much care about it. Let's talk about the science behind all this. The Cascadia subductor zone megaquake produces a magnitude 9.0 to 10.0 earthquake. Mega earthquake. Now that is an enormous amount of energy. The Cascadia event will originate offshore, anywhere from 70 to 100 miles offshore from Seattle. It takes time for those seismic waves to cross the ocean floor. It takes time for seismic waves to cross through the ocean shore, the bottom of the ocean, and come over to the North American plate. Now that time might give Seattle a chance to say, oh my gosh, we have a major earthquake coming. But it may only give you minutes. If the technology grows and persists. You might get notified in minutes, but once it hit, it's all over. Once that kind of seismic energy hits, it's all over. It's going to be all over when the Seattle fault goes as well. 6.5 to 7.5 earthquake. Huge. The seismic waves have to travel the distance in a matter of minutes, literally, before they reach the crest of the city. The seismic energy arrives as long period of motion, rolling motion. Long period rolling motion. Then the major earthquake hits. The kind of rolling motion that you're going to feel right before the main quake kind of makes you nauseous. May knock things off the shelves. That goes on for a short time before the dangerous seismic wave hits. Damaging and terrifying. Worst case scenario for buildings. The Seattle fault zone. Let's talk about the Seattle fault zone. Again, I'm going to tell you it's directly beneath the city. It's not going to bode well for anybody who lives there, because the seismic waves are already beneath the city. They're not going to travel very far at all. Which means when the seismic waves hit, you're going to know about it right away. When it ruptures, the energy doesn't have to travel to Seattle, it's right there. It detonates literally underneath the city. There will be a short period of violent shaking, the kind that destroys structures immediately, rather than continue to shake them. And then we need to understand that there's another amplifier built into the geology that makes this even worse. Seattle sits in sediment. The city of Seattle sits in sediment. If it's not volcanic ash, it's sand, a bowl of soft sediment, and glacial deposit over bedrock, just like we talked about in Portland last week. When these seismic waves hit this basin, those seismic waves will be trapped in the basin, and they will be amplified by the sand and sediment in the basin, because it's going to be liquefied. Liquefaction. Okay? That shaking that would be more moderate in hard rock becomes significantly more intense inside that basin. Now we're talking not just shaking. We're talking about soil liquefaction. It's going to get worse. This is why the 2001 Nisqually earthquake, a magnitude 6.8, originated 32 miles deep, far enough that some of its energy dissipated before reaching the surface. That Nisqually earthquake, 6.8 earthquake, caused significant $2 billion in damages. $2 billion in damage. And that earthquake was felt across 3 states. That was a shallower quake. Guys. that had already lost some of its energy, but not all of it. Caused $2 billion in damage. A shallow scale fault rupture directly beneath the basin is categorically a different event. The National Seismic Hazard Model shapes almost every consequential decision about earthquake risk in the United States. Building codes are derived from what USGS says. Insurance premiums for homes and businesses are calculated against it. Emergency management budgets, and I've had to deal with this, emergency management budgets are allocated based on what it says. When a city decides how much to spend retrofitting old buildings versus building new infrastructure, it implicitly trusting this model to have identified the threats correctly. The secondary faults of the Seattle fault zone are not in it. The secondary faults of the fault zone are not included in the USGS model. Okay? That's why we can't trust what's going to happen. Don't believe the Seattle fault zone meets the minimum fault length. Okay? USGS says faults must be so long before it will bring them into the policy it has to show earthquake damages. Because the Seattle fault is so short. Not a long fault just goes underneath the city. Because of that, USGS does not include it in their hazard policies, in the risk assessments. It does not meet the risk assessment policy, USGS. That's why it doesn't qualify for inclusion. It's not long enough. USGS believes that some think that the fault can't penetrate significantly enough through the earth, but then they immediately note that earlier geological era evidence shows significant earthquake happening, and they occur more frequently than the faults in other models. The Seattle fault occurs more frequently than in other earthquake models. The city of Seattle is currently in the middle of a push to retrofit unreinforced masonry buildings, triggered in part by the 25th anniversary of the 2001 Nisqually earthquake this year, and renewed awareness of seismic vulnerability issues as a result of the Cascadia megathrust earthquake studies. The scale of the remaining problem is still very significant. Approximately 1,100 unreinforced masonry buildings remain in Seattle. 1,100 unreinforced masonry buildings remain in Seattle. These are exactly the structures that fail catastrophically in shallow, high-frequency earthquake shaking. Unreinforced masonry buildings don't survive. They fall during these kind of earthquakes. Now, let's go back to 1994. The 1994 Northridge earthquake, 6.7, was also very shallow and directly beneath the populated city. That 6.7 earthquake in Northridge collapsed apartment buildings that pancaked on top of parking structures. Yeah. That earthquake sheared apart buildings in half and caused 57 people to be unalived. And it caused $25 billion in damages. Northridge is the closest analog to what the Seattle fault rupture would look like. That's why I'm telling you about it. Northridge hit the San Fernando Valley, not a city center, sitting inside a sedimentary basin with the potential liquefaction it had, sinking and collapsing structures, buildings and homes, power poles and structures, sinking people, vehicles, power poles. And with 1,100 unreinforced masonry buildings in Seattle, and the port itself, okay, it's commercialized and it's also got military port facilities, naval facilities. The Port of Seattle handles $75 billion in annual cargo. And like I said, they have a major U.S. naval facility there. What's going to happen when that earthquake hits? Think about it. When that earthquake hits, neither the Cascadia earthquake or the Seattle earthquake, those two earthquakes are going to both devastate that port, possibly even destroy it. The Seattle fault zone secondary faults last ruptured around 1833. The reoccurrence level is approximately every 350 years. The Seattle fault could also rupture imminently as well. Not necessarily every 350 years. We don't know when it's going to hit. There is potentially time to repair and improve infrastructure right now before this next event hits. Nobody's saying evacuate Seattle. I'm not saying that at all. Or even the other urban areas, Portland or anywhere else. I'm not saying that at all. But why am I trying to get this information out to you? So you have another image in your head that you can use to decide what you're going to do. Are you going to stay put? Are you going to shelter in place, or are you going to evacuate? What are you going to do? What things you need to do to prepare your family? What preparedness actions do you need to do to prepare your family for either one of these earthquakes? Both of them going to be devastating. Now, yes, the Seattle fault has a possibility of major destruction. Major destruction. Cascadia also deserves its own reputation. There's been all kinds of scientific work about Cascadia as well. They know that the Cascadia fault is going to be a major earthquake, causing major amounts of damage and unaliving thousands of people. When Cascadia goes, it will be one of the largest natural disasters in all of American history. A regional catastrophe stretching from Haida, British Columbia, Canada, all the way down to the Mexican border. Because as I have explained before, the Cascadia earthquake is going to activate the San Andreas Fault at the Triple Junction, Northern California. Then the seismic energy is going to be echoed literally all the way down to Mexico, all the way through the state of California down to Mexico. Thousands upon tens of thousands of people are going to feel it. They're going to feel it, and they're going to be devastated as well. What are you going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Yes, Seattle is going to shake hard, whether it be the Seattle fault or the Cascadia, and also the subsequent tsunami that's going to happen with either earthquake. As I explained to you earlier, the last Seattle earthquake happened on the fault. It generated tsunami waves in the Puget Sound. The Cascadia will be even larger, generating waves miles and miles from the shoreline, coming in upwards of 100 to 150 feet high. Tsunami waves, not just one wave, but tsunami waves, multiple waves, causing major and absolute destruction that no one living has ever seen before. Then the recovery begins. As I've told you before, back in 2014, I was in Spokane, Washington, helping conduct the first Cascadia drill, the first Cascadia subduction zone drill. Since then, we've had two more, the latest being Cascadia Rising. I've been part of it. The infrastructure in and around Washington and Portland and all over Oregon and all over Northern California, all over Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, and Arizona. Those are all states that will have personnel that will respond to the Cascadia or the Seattle earthquake. They will do that. We'll have National Guard troops, both on the ground and in the air, helping to support the recovery when these earthquakes hit. And yes, they're going to hit. They're going to get hit. As I said, they're going to cause liquefaction, and unreinforced buildings are going to collapse. There's going to be a tsunami in the port with critical port and emergency response infrastructure that's going to be damaged, that has never been fully tested in any kind of scale at all. Never been tested. This will be a disaster of epic proportions. This is a scenario that literally keeps researchers up all night long. This is the exact scenario that we've been talking about for years now. And like I said, this same scenario has kept friends of mine and me as well up all night long, thinking about what's going to happen. Because yes, it's going to happen. That's going to happen on a major scale. Do we have any questions? Does anybody have any questions for me? Does anybody have any questions for me? Lorraine Blumgren is here. She said Northridge was frightening for her cat. Her cat warned her. Animals have that intuition. Animals know what's going to happen. They get scared too. The cat ran away when the earthquake hit. Dogs did too all over that area. We found dogs wandering around the Northridge area for weeks. I was there about a week. We helped recover dogs and cats that ran away from home. Happens, unfortunately. Happens all the time. Are you guys ready? Does this program today help you? Want to get more knowledge about what's going to happen? Hopefully it'll motivate you. Hopefully it will motivate you to find more information. Study it and prepare yourselves and your families for what's going to happen. This, guys, I've said, is imminent. It is imminent. It's going to happen. It's going to happen whether you want to or not. It's going to happen. Now, I'm at the end of our broadcast. At the end of our broadcast, I want to leave you with a few words that are more positive, positively motivated. I go to the scriptures this time in the New Testament, in John chapter 14. Chapter 14. If you love me, keep my commandments. And I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, the Holy Ghost, that he may abide with you forever. Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it seemeth him not, neither knoweth him, but ye know him. For he dwelleth within you, and you shall be in him. I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you. Brothers and sisters, I've been talking now for a long time. We are now closer to the second coming than we've ever been. Our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, is about to return to earth. He says, yet in a little while, and the world seeth me no more, but ye see me. Because I live, ye shall live also. At that day, ye shall know that I am in my Father, and ye in me, and I in you. He that keepeth hath my commandment, and keepeth them. He it is that loveth me. He that loveth me shall be loved by my Father, and I will love them, and I will manifest myself to him. Judas the apostle saith unto him, not Iscariot, Lord, how is it thou wilt manifest thyself unto us, and not unto the world? Jesus answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him and make our abode with him. He that loveth me not keepeth not my sayings, and the word which ye hear is not mine, but the Father's which sent me. These things I have spoken unto you, being yet present with you. But the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name, he shall teach you all things, and bring all things to your remembrance. And whatsoever I said unto you, this is the kicker here. This is the important part. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth you, I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. You've heard how I said unto you, I go away, and come again unto you. If you love me, you would rejoice, because I said, I go unto the Father, for my Father is greater than me. Brothers and sisters, the Lord gave us this information for us, you and I, to understand that when the Savior comes again, we'll know about it. If we are watching, if we are prepared, and if we have obeyed the commands of God, let's do that. Let's do that, brothers and sisters. Obey the commandments of God, study, pray, and listen. Listen to the Holy Spirit, that still small voice that will testify the truth of it unto us. May God bless you. May God be with you this day and always. May God bless you, that you will be prepared for what's coming, that you know what's going to happen. I leave that prayer with you. In the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Have a wonderful day, guys. We love you. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Good night. Sorry about that. Let me remove that picture here. Hold on a second, guys. Sorry. Good night, everyone.